Hey rockers, welcome back, man. The weekend is almost here, and I was sitting around tonight thinking, what can I talk about on the channel, man? I'm a little behind again. And it hit me, man. Iron Butterfly. Shout out to my good friend Rick Stotley in Florida for requesting some Iron Butterfly on my radio show, The Church of Rock, last week. It opened the door to all these old memories about listening to Iron Butterfly back in the 70s and 80s, man. Because before punk rock and metal came around, we had bands like Iron Butterfly and Blue Cheer and, a lot of good bands that paved the way for bands like Sabbath and stuff like that down the road with hard rock and metal. But tonight, we're talking about Iron Butterfly, August of 1999. I was actually lucky enough to see those guys perform, got to meet the band, and I got to bring my whole family. Well, my wife and daughter, okay? So that was a good time. Sister Tracy, that's my wife, Tracy, and my daughter Audrey. It was her first time, I believe, going to a rock and roll concert and getting to meet a band. I'm pretty sure. And she was pretty excited because her dad would, really educate her about music, and I told her the importance of psychedelic music. And at an early age, like my mother did to me, I gave her a great music education. Well, and Tracy did too. We were a team, man. So Iron Butterfly came to Peoria, Illinois, August 13th, 1999. They performed at the Peoria, Illinois riverfront. I was just beginning my new radio career, broadcasting career, and it was like the very week that I was getting my foot in the door, finally going through the channels. Shout out to Wayne R. Miller, the great general manager and one of my hero disc jockeys from the old days, man, the old days. Wayne got me in the door at Rock 106, WWCT Peoria, and that was the first event that I went to where I felt like, wow, man, I'm part of a radio show team, a radio station team. All the guys, all the DJs were there. I had my first official Rock 106 kind of jacket that they gave to the guys, and they had cool t-shirts, and I remember thinking, this is awesome. I've always wanted to be a DJ, and here I am, going to kind of work my way up the ranks, but first event was Iron Butterfly, so the station, gave us comp tickets to the show, which was killer, already reaping the rewards of being in radio. Of course, Iron Butterfly, an American rock band that formed in San Diego, California, 1966. These guys are most known for their 1968 hit, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, which is a classic, of course. And like I say, they did pave the way towards the development of hard rock and heavy metal. Lots of lineup changes throughout the years, like many bands, but they've kept the band going. All the original guys are gone now, sadly. They have not released any new recordings since 1975. Talk about carrying the torch for that era, right? Got to give it up to the mighty Iron Butterfly. They did 6 albums total in their career. They were the first band to ever receive a Platinum Album Award. That was from Atlantic Records. They sold a lot of records. They're one of the first bands to blend hard rock with kind of acid-friendly textures, and they fused it together greatly, and they kind of started a kind of music that you didn't hear a lot of at the time. Great time seeing the band play that night. On the guitar and vocals was a guy named Eric Barnett. This guy was great, man. He was kind of thin, real long hair, dressed in a psychedelic, multicolored shirt, and he had this badass red guitar. Good vocals, great guitar work for sure. Top 10, I'd say a 10, really good. On the keyboards and vocals was a cat named Damien Bojanda, and he replaced the legendary Doug Ingle. But man, let me tell you something. This guy was, given the job to be the keyboard player for Iron Butterfly. You know how damn good you got to be, or you have to fit into a certain vibe. Not just being good talented-wise, but you'd have to be really kick-ass, right? This guy was no joke. He was great vocally and on keyboards. He really did create the sound of Iron Butterfly like I remembered from the old days rather well. And then the original cats, Ron Bushy there with his sleeveless shirt on, looking cool and nice and healthy and fit on the drums and percussion. The legendary Ron Bushy, rest in peace. Also Lee Dorman, bass and vocalist. Just a great energy on stage, bouncing around, and just, you would think these guys are all old and out of it. Nah, they had tons of energy, man. They were killing it. Lee Dorman, rest in peace to him, all dressed in black with a black baseball cap on that day with his beard and his semi-long hair. course, shout out and rest in peace to the original guys. Doug Engel died of May of 2024. Eric Brann died July 2003. Ron Bushy died August 2021. And finally, Mike Panera, who was connected with Blue Cheer 2 in the band, Captain Beyond and whatnot. He died November 2024. Also, man, Lee Dorman died December 2012. Wow, bunch of deaths. But that guy also formed Captain Beyond, the band, in 1971 when Iron Butterfly broke up for the first time. So shout out, man, to the fans of Lee Dorman. What a killer musician. These guys are good, man. It was outside. It was during the day, so it was kind of trippy because it wasn't at night where it was dark. It was light out, but it was like a kind of like a family-friendly psychedelic event, right? So my daughter Audrey's excited as hell. I brought paper and pens for her to, some posters and whatnot, promo stuff from Iron Butterfly, which the guys were super cool. I remember walking up to the dudes and saying, "Hey Ron, hey Lee. I work at this radio station, and this is my 6-year-old daughter, Audrey, and it's her first rock concert." And they're like giving her high fives, and that they weren't doing fist bumps then, but they gave her high fives, and they were super nice to her. She thought she was meeting like, a big name, Michael Jackson kind of level status, because she had never met anybody that was famous. And she got to watch these guys rock out along with us, of course. And Iron Butterfly was killer. They were absolutely good. I didn't know if it was going to be some kind of washed up has-been act or if they were going to be on their game. But luckily, they kept the pride and the name Iron Butterfly with integrity. And man, it was great. I do remember they had incense sticks, man. They had lit incense sticks, I think on Lee Dorman's bass, perhaps, his amp, I should say. And man, you could smell it because they had multiple incense sticks. And I'm like, this is so cool. They're recreating the music. They all look cool as hell, like they just stepped out of the 70s. And they had the incense going. And man, I was secretly puffing away, if you know what I mean. Not around my kid, but I would slip away and do some one-hitters. Because they have a thing back in the Midwest where you get like this little metal rod. Looks like a pencil. And you dip it into the weed and smoke like one little hit at a time. But in the West Coast where I live, I've never seen one. I've been in Oregon, since 2011. I've never seen a one-hitter because weed's so plentiful when there's, weed farms everywhere. So, interesting side note about smoking paraphernalia. For those of you that have never heard of a one-hitter, leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to the channel, guys. Help me out, man. And just hit the like button and give it a thumbs up if you would. I appreciate it. So, the guys are on stage. It's packed. It's a Rock 106 event. We're all kind of running the show. It's so cool that, the station I'm working for now, they bring an Iron Butterfly, right? It was awesome, man. Those guys were up there just full of energy, and you would never know their ages. They were like ageless. The songs they did that night, of course, they did the Iron Butterfly theme, which is like a staple of all their live shows, kind of showcasing their signature sound. They did Unconscious Power, which is a super heavy tune that they played out a lot in their career. Flowers and Beads, which I love that tune. Flowers and Beads from the In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida album. They did Fly Away, very melodic tune. Easy Rider, if you're a fan of Iron Butterfly, they did that. The real bluesy tune. Total Change of Pace, halfway through the set. They did Soul Experience, which is a classic Iron Butterfly tune, super psychedelic. In the Time of Our Lives, which was good. Real Fright, super heavy and intense, the song Real Fright. Also on the list was Butterfly Blue. Of course, these songs are not in order. This is not the exact order, but these are the songs that were played. Butterfly Blue was the intro to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. And let me tell you, man, it's a really awesome, heavy, intense, psychedelic piece. Very experimental for Iron Butterfly, too, showcasing their ability to be experimental and still come out on top, man. But then they went into In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, right? And I'm telling you, I think it was 22 minutes, kind of like the album version, which I think that's what it is. Or is it 18? One of those two. But they played the entire In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, complete with the beautiful percussion parts, all those great keyboards. I literally was closing my eyes and thinking about how I felt as a kid listening to these records and how nothing had really changed. Because, music captures time a lot. And when you listen to music, it's like a time capsule taking you back to whatever year the tunes were recorded in, right? So here I was in 1999, 30-something years since that album came out, And it felt like I was a kid back in the early 70s, and hell yeah, man, take me back, you know. What else did they do, man? After they did the awesome killer, and by the way, that song takes up the majority of their set, I've read online. So In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, which was originally titled In the Garden of Eden, but dude was kind of high when he, or buzzed on booze or something, tripping, I don't know. But the story goes he was intoxicated, and when they were kind of doing it, it came out In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida instead of In the Garden of Eden. They also did Filled with Fear, which is another really intense, heavy tune from Iron Butterfly. And a really dark song was in the set called Possession, which basically explores much darker themes. Possession, yeah, that kind of says it all. But the guys after the show came out, man, and they talked to everybody. You could tell they were happy that people still love their music. But at Rock 106, which was called the home of rock and roll, we really did play In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida on the radio because it was pirate rock radio. Totally legit FM radio and one of the biggest frequencies on the FM dial in the Midwest. You could pick it up almost from St. Louis to Chicago, all the way in between if you had a good enough antenna or whatever. And that was a great station that did play the hits of the day, but they also played all kinds of obscure stuff, B-sides, deep album cuts, and Iron Butterfly. It was a great show, man, and the fact that those guys really captured and held on to and shared the magic spirit of the 60s and 70s was awesome. It was great that they were carrying the torch of that heavy rock, and to this day, my youngest daughter, Audrey, always remembers Iron Butterfly. That was my first concert, and I'm like, yep, she barely remembers it, but I do, man, and they were super kind, and of course, I lost my autographs and my photos of the event in those stupid Alameda fires back in 2020, which swept through Northern California and Southern Oregon. I had 2 big storage units full of like collectibles. Was going to open a pop culture museum, but it all went to hell. It's much deeper and there was much more lost than that, but I don't live there. I just let people know that some of the stuff I could be showing you, I just can't because it's not here anymore. Hey man, thanks for checking out my videos. I appreciate all you rockers, and plan on doing some more soon. And I appreciate you guys subscribing, watching, commenting, and putting up with my stupid, congestion in my nose. This shit's been here since January. It went away for a month once. Been up and down ever since. I went to the dentist today to get a deep cleaning. They put nitrous. I always get nitrous when I go to the dentist, right? They put the nitrous on my thing. I can't even breathe. It was a nightmare. So I had anxiety and getting this pain from this deep cleaning under my gums. I was pissed. It was like, I can't breathe, the damn nitrous. Mouth breather mess. All right, my friends. Have a great weekend coming up. And I hope to be back with more ramblings, but true tales right here at Bloody F Mess Official. Om Namah Shivaya.